Welcome, Ron LaPlace. It is so nice to see your big beaming face, and thank you for taking the time to come and share your wisdom with us. Now, I could go on about all the things that you've done, the teachings that you've done, the workshops that you've held, but we could be here all night. So today, what I'd like to do is focus on acutonics and exactly what is acutonics for the layperson, please.
Okay, it's a big and strange sounding word, isn't it? Acutonics. So it's describing a relationship with sound. And it's also, within that word, it's also pointing out that that relationship is through something called traditional Chinese medicine. The acu part of the word is connected to acupuncture. So I'll get into that in a minute here. But first, let's talk about this relationship to sound. Why is that important? From my perspective, sound is the foundation of the creation. And in the perspective of many religions, that's also true. For instance, the words, "In the beginning was the Word." That's saying the importance of sound in the creation. This is in Genesis, in the Bible, and it's also in the foundation of all other religions. In some way, they talk about the importance of sound in creation. And so, in this way, sound is what connects all of us to everything. And we can see that in a spiritual perspective in something as simple and as common as, let's say, a mother soothing her child. How does she do that? She uses her voice. And she speaks in a tone that does something really important. She speaks in a tone that carries the intention of her heart. When she uses her voice, when we do that, we all do it, that sound is actually carrying our intention. My voice right now is in carrying my best intention for this to be understandable. So, sound is something so basic and so formative. It comes at the very moment of creation of everything. Now, that's looking at it, let's say, from a spiritual perspective. From, let's say, a scientific perspective. Now, in quantum physics, we're learning more and more how we're all connected through frequency, which is really what sound is. So, what we term the matrix, this incredible connecting form, is sound as well. So I hope this works. I'm going to try something to help not just use my voice to carry this, because we're going to be talking about acutonics and how they use tuning forks. I'm hoping that the sound carries, because we're going to try. And so I have a few different tuning forks here for you to listen to.
Fantastic.
And let's see if this works. We'll just try activating this and see. Is that distinguishable at all?
No.
It's too low a frequency.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll try a different one.
Oh, yeah. I can hear that.
So, what is that frequency? Perhaps it's familiar to you. You could hear that?
Yes, definitely. Now, all you did was hit that on the palm of your hand?
Yes, yes. I have others, and I'll show you. In order to activate them, you have to use something other than the palm of your hand. But for these lower frequencies, they have weights on the end of the fork, and it's easy to activate them just striking it on your body. All right, so what is this sound? This sound is a very specific frequency. It's the frequency of the earth.
Oh.
So we can find out how to arrive at this frequency in a spiritual way and in a scientific way. It doesn't matter which way we approach this. So from a spiritual way, this sound, the sound that you just heard, is the sound of the didgeridoo.
Oh, wow. Wow.
It's the sound of the drone string on a sitar. It's a sound that we're so connected to that we can just bring it out from within. We can also arrive at it in a mathematical way, in a scientific way, because this is the sound of the earth. It's the sound of Om, and it's the sound of the earth. And that's simple. The earth goes around the sun, and it takes a certain amount of time. And whenever we deal with time in a cycle, that's a frequency. And so we can translate that frequency into a sound. And using music, using the octaves of music, we can arrive at a frequency that we can hear. And that's what this is. This is the sound of the earth in her journey around the sun, 1 year. So the one we tried earlier, this larger fork, is 1 octave lower than that, and it's too hard for the microphone to pick it up. So they're both the sound of the earth in her journey around the sun, and this is the base frequency of a system called acutonics. So we take these tuning forks, these and many others, I'll get into that in a minute. We take the tuning forks and we apply them to the body on very specific locations known as acupuncture points. So we've mentioned that sound is the carrier of intention. Now we're using these frequencies and we're placing them on the meridian points on the body that are the carriers of energy within the body. They're connected to the energy system, the flow of energy that is everywhere. So that's the earth. Well, it turns out that the earth has a frequency, and so do all the other planets. So do all the other heavenly bodies. And we have a system that many of us know about, some use in a light way, some in a much more detailed way, called astrology. Even without thinking about astrology, we have a lot of information about all of the planets because of the mythology of the Greeks and the Romans. Each of these gods is connected to a planetary body because they knew the influence of the energy of the planets, and they could describe it using these fantastic stories from mythology. And so we have frequencies in the tuning forks that represent all of that, all of the frequencies of the heavenly bodies. And so just for an example, let's use two that were, let's say, very connected to in a close way because they're the 2 planets on either side of Earth. One is Mars and one is Venus. So again, I hope this works out. Let's try sounding these so you can hear the frequency of Mars and Venus and how they sound, how they feel. So, can we hear that?
Just slightly.
Okay, I'll try a little louder.
Yeah. That's quite different. That's quite different from the Earth sound.
Yes, and so it should be. It's an entirely different energy. It's an entirely different planet. Mars is this frequency of strength. It's very masculine. It's the frequency of war as well. You know, it's in a bullfight. What color do they use to activate that energy within the bull? They use red. it has that energy to it. All right, so let's use and first of all connect to the sound of Venus.
Wow. Yeah. You can actually hear and feel the difference.
So what does Venus represent? That's the feminine. It's that sound, the movement of the heart, the movement of relationship, that energy. This fork carries that energy. So what happens if we sound both of them? This might not translate through the mic very well, but we'll try. Now, these two, when they come together, do so in a very harmonic and harmonious way. Why? Because they represent the masculine and the feminine within each of us. And so that is something that we correspond with, we resonate with, we feel it easily. We don't really have to understand it at all. And so that's just a small example of how the energy of the planets can be used on the physical part of us, the body, directly. And of course, it's also operating on the emotional part of us as well, and the mental part of us, and the spiritual part of us. So all of this is connected. We're all connected to sound. From the very beginning, because sound is the foundation of creation, we are all connected to sound. Doesn't matter if we can hold a note musically, if we have perfect pitch or can't sing at all, we're all connected to sound. So acutonics is the science of using sound in the healing process.
So just a quick question, because in my mind, you know what my mind can be like. I need to understand if I'm coming for a healing using the acutonics, when you use the earth sound or the earth frequency, now does that mean when you put it on my meridian point or acupuncture points that then I would be feeling the grounding, or is that like allowing that grounding energy to sustain itself in my body? I mean, what's actually the mechanics of the healing, you know, when it actually gets placed on the body? What outcome are we hoping to achieve, or is there a set outcome? Yeah.
Well, yes and no. First of all, in any healing process, yes, there's that thing that I called intention that becomes very important. So let's say in a session where we're working with someone on an individual basis, yes, the first thing we do is we talk. And we come to an agreement of what it is we'll be working on within that session. That can be very specific for physical, mental, emotional, spiritual things that we're working on, or it can be left wide open, something in the highest good. It can be that broad as well. But intention, I find, is really important in the healing process. You are right on when you talk about the frequency and the vibration of the earth forks. Yes, they're very grounding. Anything that connects us directly to this planet, that is our mother, that supports us and nurtures us, is a very grounding experience. And so, absolutely, these forks are used extensively for that purpose. So each fork actually has a broad range of practical uses that can be introduced for, let's say, specific symptoms, if we're dealing with something in particular, or for general energetic use as well. Again, it is a science, and it's a science that, fortunately, you can begin using immediately as you connect to the information, and then you can continue to study it for, if you want, your whole life and keep learning more and more. So it's extremely practical, extremely simple, and yet very powerful, even though it is subtle.
I can imagine that I can only imagine that it is powerful, considering how much how much water the body contains, and having that vibration traveling through the water of the body. I can only imagine the effect that frequency would have.
Again, you're right on. The body's at least 70% water, and let's say in the case of a baby or a very young child, it's much higher than that. Or in a really healthy person, it's probably 80% or more. And sound travels through water 4 times faster than it does through air. So sound is the perfect medium of transmission. Again, that's why I use this word, carrier of intention, and how important that is. So when you apply a tuning fork on the body on a specific point, that is actually as effective, if not more effective, than the acupuncture needle itself.
Yes, it certainly sounds that way. That's fascinating. I can't wait. I can't wait until you come.
Well, neither can I. It's been a long time that I've wanted to visit Ireland. It's a place where my one grandmother is from, and so this will be a first, and I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, that's great. I can't wait to see your beaming face in my door. Okay, listen, Ron, I know your time's precious, and I really appreciate what you've just shared. I'm not sure, do you have anything else that you want to add that I've missed?
Let me think. Well, I think I'll mention that if people are interested in this, of course, they can talk to you. You can connect us, put us together. I will be doing sessions, private sessions, on September 25 and 26. I believe that those will be about the only opportunity I'll have to share this. We'll also be doing a talk one evening. And so I hope if anyone is interested, it'll be much earlier than that. I'm not sure what evening. I'll leave that in your hands, Fiona. And if people are interested, I would love to share more about this information with them during that talk, and to talk with them privately if they wish. Because my intention is to give sessions in this visit, and then to come back sometime next year and give a class teaching this information for those who would like to become practitioners of it. It's a wonderful, wonderful system for anyone who is already working with different healing modalities. Anyone connected to sound will appreciate this and can help many with it. So that's my intention. And I'm glad you've given me the opportunity to state that intention.
That's wonderful. And just to clarify, you are able to actually teach this work as well.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yes, I'm a certified teacher of the Acutonics system of healing, yes.
Along with your many other certifications, but we, like I said, we'll not talk about that here.
Okay.
I have been lucky enough to be a participant in several of your workshops, and I feel very blessed. Your teachings are very loving, very simple, and interesting. So I look forward to becoming a participant in the next workshop. And as you've said, I'll make sure at the end of this link, I'll put all the details of when you're available. I'll put my contact details and your contact details, and then I'll also say the date and the place for the venue for people to come and listen to you talk, and a Q&A session afterwards. That should be a nice nice time to
Yeah,
have.
I'm really looking forward to that feeling.
Oh, great.
And to seeing you in person very soon.
Hey, we'll have a Guinness ready for you when you arrive.
Sounds great to me. Another form of healing.
Okay, Ron, listen, have a great day, and we'll catch you soon.
Thanks so much, Fiona.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.